everybody. Kerry and King here, and delighted to be here, I might add. We've had some fun little technical difficulties. So if you're here with us live and you've been waiting, I'm sorry, but we have found our way to you under slightly unusual channels. So just be patient with us. I am so super excited today to have Barbara Davis joining me on the show. I love Barbara. We talk to each other also backstage. We read each other's books, and she's just a super fun, wonderful person. Besides being an absolutely fantastic author. Now, you are very likely to be familiar with a little book called The Last of the Moon Girls, which has sold like a gazillion copies. I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but it's a wonderful, magical book. And Barbara's here to tell us about a new wonderful and magical book that is coming out shortly. So I am going to bring her right on here to say hi. Hi, Barbara.
Hey, guys.
And Barbara's on her phone because her laptop didn't want to play nice. So she's.
And I'm technically challenged. So I'm trying to like get the angle thing right here.
Right. Get the angle right and be able to
bear with me.
Right. And you're just quiet a little bit too. So.
Okay, I'll talk really loud. Is that better?
A little bit. I wonder if you turn up the volume on your phone, if it would help.
It's all the way up.
It's all the way up, baby. Okay. All right. Well, we will do what we can. We have some people here with us. Susan Peterson says, oh, I clicked the wrong button, but I like it. Diana says, I'm reading everything you are. Thank you, Diana. I'm glad. Thank you very much. I'm pleased about that. We have Susan says, hello, you two of my favorite people. You are one of our favorite people too, Susan, at least speaking for me. Hi, Diane. Hello, Diana. Heidi's here. Diane Robinson's here. We've got Catherine Kraft joined us, another awesome author, by the way, that you should be looking at if you've not already. And Heidi, we've got tons of people here, Barbara. So,
yay.
We need to talk about you in the book. Can you guys hear Barbara when she talks? Say something.
Can you hear me?
So let me know if you can hear her, because I can, but I got things in my ears, but it's not real loud. So just
can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I know.
Okay, Sharon says yes, they can hear you. So okay, we're good then. Okay, Catherine says yes also. So, Barbara, do you happen in all of this fuss, we didn't have time to do our little pre-talk before we came on. Do you have a copy of the book with you that you can show everybody? Now, it's always a trick to get it. Actually, there you go. Yes. A little closer
it's all
to the phone.
I'm so bad at this.
Anyway, it's a challenge.
There she is.
It's a beautiful cover. The Keeper of Happy Endings is the book that we are here to talk about today. There you go. You know, you can see if you're looking at this gorgeous cover, there's a woman wearing an old-timey dress. We have the tower. I'm having a moment. It's the Eiffel Tower. Is that the one that it is? Bingo. Like it's not leaning. It has nothing to do with pizza. It's
not in Italy.
Not in Italy. It's in France. So we therefore have clues about where this book is set. And Patricia's here too. She says, I've read it and loved it. That's lovely, Patricia. Thank you. So do you straight up front, Barb, tell us a little bit about this lovely new book, The Keeper of Happy Endings. I love that title, by the way.
The Keeper of Happy Endings is it's a dual timeline book, as most of my books are. And it is about a woman who comes from a family of seamstresses. They make wedding gowns, and they've had this very small elite salon in Paris. And their specialty is that and rumor is the bride who wears a Roussel gown will have a lifetime of love and happiness. So it's sort of a specialty.
I'm interrupting just a minute because you broke up just a little bit. So I just want to oversay what you said, which is a woman who wears a Roussel gown will have a lifetime of love and happiness, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. This is a family of gifted women. This is their one thing that they do, and it's a very you have to be referred. It's a very if you don't know the salons there, you wouldn't know it was there. So it's kind of a well kept secret. And this woman, this young woman, is wanting desperately to strike out on her own and be bigger than what her family's background was. And just as she thinks that this is going to happen for her, the Nazis show up and occupy France, and everything goes pear shaped for her, and she winds up losing her mother, losing the shop, and having to start over. And she winds up meeting an ambulance driver from who works at the American hospital in Paris, which stayed open throughout the entire war. The Germans let that hospital stay open, and she meets Anson, who turns out to be the love of her life. And then when she leaves and goes to the United States, they lose one another. And she has made this dress to marry Anson in, and she carries it with her to the United States thinking that's what's going to happen. And then the telegram comes, and this dress is just left unworn. Cut ahead 40 years later, she has had a beautiful career, made a name for herself. Circumstances caused her to retire, and she winds up leasing the shop to another woman who's going to start an art gallery. And while she's kind of cleaning out a little space under the stairs, she comes across this box and this wedding dress and all of these letters written to Celine Russell about their happy endings. And it is about her, Rory, trying to find this woman and find out what is this happy ending all about, and where did it go wrong.
Right. Well, and I think part of the mythology, or the mythos, really more. It's not mythology. It's more of a mythos of the Roussel women, is that they don't get their own happy endings. Isn't
They do
that right?
not. They are told right up front, like nuns, your job is to ensure the happiness of others, but it's not for you. And if you stray and think you're going to get away with it and have your happily ever after, you're going to get a nasty bump. And she got several.
So, and it's really fun because there's these lovely little bits of advice or passed down knowledge from one of the older Roussel women at the beginning of a lot of the chapters, which I love that touch. That's always such a fun.
Yeah, those were fun to write.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the voice on those.
Some of her wise and some of them were kind of funny.
Right. So, they sound really magical to me. So that was a fun part, because I love the magic in the Moon Girls. So that was one of my favorite parts of the last of the Moon Girls, was that little bit of magic that was in there.
Yeah,
and so now you've woven a little bit of magic into this book again, in just like kind of a whole different sort of a way. It's a little more subtle, would you say?
yeah, it is. It's subtle, and I could, because I wanted it to be about, I didn't want to lose the magic of them finding each other and becoming part of each other's stories. So I didn't want to dwell too heavily on the magic. It's just kind of sprinkled in there.
Right. Yeah. Patricia says, I stayed up way too late for 2 nights reading this book. Couldn't put it down.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, never sorry. Heidi would like to know how you came up with the title. And I was going to ask you, although I think that it's kind of, fairly clear. My question really is a little twist on that is that which came first, the title or the storyline?
They kind of came simultaneously, like really one on top of the other. So I was heartbroken when my editor said, "Well, we're not going to be able to use that title." She let me get through the whole process, and at the end, sprang that on me, and I was sick because once you read the book, there's just no other title for this book. So we went round and round trying to find new titles, and they all
Hang
stunk
on,
because
hang on,
they weren't.
just a minute, because I think this is kind of a fun little bit. So now, why did they not want you to use this title?
I'm not really sure. They just felt like it. I don't know. They loved it when I pitched the book. Oh, what a great title! And then something happens, and somebody gets, a bug in their ear. Oh, no, that was Moon Girl. They tried to get me to change that one too.
Yeah, they didn't like that one either. I think
Yep.
you and
And
I
then
had we
and
had a
then
conversation about, sorry, maybe it was the happy endings, the little, dual meaning that some people take with
oh
happy
yeah,
endings was
no,
like,
it wasn't that. I think they weren't sure that people would be able to understand. I don't know. But then after they read it, they're like, because she passed it on to some other people in marketing, and they said, no, that's the title of this book.
oh,
That
good.
period. And I was so relieved. I swear, I started crying because I was so attached to that title.
Yeah.
And once you read the book and start reading the book, shortly after you get into it, you will see that she finds a box. Rory finds a box with this wedding gown, this 40-year-old wedding gown, and all of these old letters. And it's literally women thanking her for their happy endings. And she has collected these for years. For 40 years, she's got all of these letters, and she literally is the keeper of happy ending, of other people's happy endings, with the irony that she has completely missed her own.
Right.
So that's the thing behind the title. And once you read the whole book, I defy you to think of another
Well,
title.
right.
I
It
couldn't.
can't, it couldn't be called anything else. It's
No.
one of those, just, it's funny. Like at our house, we do these projects, or I don't do them. The Viking does these projects, and he'll add something to the yard or whatever. And we'll both look at it and go, looks like it should always been there. Like it doesn't even look like it's something new because it just should always been there. And
Right.
so your title for your book is like that. I think it just, like you said, how could it be anything else?
That's what I
Patricia also agrees it's definitely the perfect title. I think we haven't talked about Rory at all, and I think, I mean, her journey is just as important in this story, and really compelling and meaningful. So, in our present day time, we have a young woman who doesn't feel like she gets on well with her mother or fits in her mother's world well. She's lost her lover recently, and so she's an interesting character.
Yeah, I kind of knew her better to begin with than I knew Celine.
Mm-hmm.
She's a trust fund baby who doesn't want to be a trust fund baby. She doesn't want that life. She doesn't want to grow up to be her mom. She wants to do her own thing. She wants her own gallery. And her mother's very artsy, but her mother has different ideas about what real art is and what Rory thinks art is. Rory wants to start a gallery called Unheard of, which is a gallery that is dedicated to launching um, artists no one has heard of, to giving them their shot because it's so hard to break in. And her mother just thinks that is a terrible idea, and has gotten her just about talked out of it when Rory comes across this building that just seems to call to her as the perfect place to open this gallery. So she drops it on her mother out of the blue that she will not be going back to school. She will be opening the gallery. And she and her mother go round and around throughout the whole book about her making this huge mistake, and that it's all because her fiance is missing. Her fiance is with Doctors Without Borders, and he's been abducted. He's been gone. He at the end of the book, he'll have been gone 9 months. and no one has any idea if he's alive or dead, but it's starting to look really bad. So when she meets Celine, who has also lost a lover in this way and never gotten to say goodbye to him, it's just their stories just overlap in a way that mesmerizes her. She almost becomes obsessed because she thinks that maybe if she can figure out, what happened with Celine, she'll have a better outcome. And so the two of them bond and get very close, which Rory's mother does not like. She's definitely seen as an interloper.
Right. Yeah. And we should stop talking about, I mean, we don't want to give away too much of the plot, but I think that you guys can hear that there's just this wonderful intertwining and overlapping of these two strong female characters who have had losses and creative impulses and are looking for a happy ending that does not appear to be coming. So there's that going on. And then I love you just the art gallery. It's really interesting because we had Barbara O'Neill on last week. I'm having a run of Barbaras. We had Barbara Josselson the week before, and next week we're having Willa Reese, whose real name is also Barbara. So it's kind of fun. This is the Barbara month. But Barbara O'Neill also has tons of art in her book that just came out. So it's kind of fun. You guys both were on that little bit of a simultaneous trend.
Yes, well, he knows about art and I know nothing about art. So I had to do all of this research because I knew zippity doodah. So I also know zippity doodah about sewing. So
well, and yet, it doesn't come through that way. It comes through as that you do know a lot about this. And I love the art that you've chosen, which is textile art, something a little bit different. And I was really drawn to that.
Also, it also ties back to Celine's career with fabric and sewing. So there's a tie, there's a bond that they feel even with that. There's just so many overlaps when they get to know each other. So many different parallels, things that echo between them.
Yeah. So let's talk about you and your real life now just a little bit, because I believe that you have had your own kind of experience with not having happy ending, and then didn't you just have a sort of magical fairy tale kind of thing with your beloved here recently? I'm thinking about married. The vows. Didn't you?
Okay. Yes, well, I had a rocky first marriage. I married a narcissist, and I grew up believing you say forever, you mean forever. And finally, it just got to where I had to go. And I had stopped believing in happy endings. I had my shot and that was it. No happy ending. I was done. And then I met my soulmate. And I never believed in soulmates until I met mine. And we have been together for 20 years. And he's like the other half of me. And we've just, finally, after all of those years of just cohabitating, we finally made it official. And all I can say is never give up on a happy ending, because you never know how it's going to come, where it's going to come, and who's going to get you there. I firmly believe in those kinds of magical things. That's how I met my agent, was through another kind of a magical story that you literally couldn't have made up. It was so perfect. So never stop believing in happy endings.
See, I love this so much. And I also just have to tell you, because this is like one of those kind of little woo-woo moments. But Barbara last week was talking about that she and her man of many years are just getting married now also. So
Yep. And I had no idea She's launching a book and planning a wedding and watching her grandkids. I watched that and she just blurbed Keeper for me. And I said, if I had known all that, I would never have asked you to read this book. I mean, I don't know how she found time to breathe. And then doing the artwork and redoing her
Yeah.
house. Oh my goodness.
It's easy to look at other people's lives and wonder how they do everything they do.
Oh,
And yet we all have a million things going on in our little worlds. We just do what
I
we
know
do.
you do. I know you do.
Well, I believe you do too. So, Barbara, are you working on anything right now? Is there a new book in the works?
There is. I'm about a third of the way through book 8, or is it 9? I think it's book 8. That currently is called The Care and Feeding of Old Books, which they've already told me I will have to change. But it so
When will
they
they
know
ever learn?
they're getting it in early, so I don't even try to change their minds. But it's about a woman who runs an antique bookstore, who's gone through some tragedies in her own life. She's sort of a recluse. Books are her refuge. This bookstore is her sanctuary. And one day she's looking through a box of old books to find stock for her store, and she runs across a book that has it has a title. It's called Regretting Belle, but there's no author name, no copyright page, no publisher. It's like this book never existed and she can't figure out what's going on. So she starts doing her research to try to, find out what the book's about, and gets a call from the guy that gave her the first book and said, I think I found something you're going to want to see. And there's a second book, and the second book is the same. It's got a different, it's called You and All the Days After. But it also no publisher, no copyright page, no nothing. And as she starts reading the book, she realizes that this book is the other half. It's the other half of this doomed love story. And these two furious lovers are going at each other in this book. And it's just this horrific betrayal of one of the other. Except is it? And she's determined to get to the bottom of who these people were, what happened, who betrayed them, how did this all fall apart? So it's kind of like a romantic whodunit.
That's just I obviously am totally in. I can't wait to read this book, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the cover. I mean, with the title. Personally, I just think my thought is, when will they ever learn? Just leave Barbara's titles alone.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing, but and I'm gonna try to sell it. I mean, the reason that title is what I picked is because the name of her bookstore is An Unlikely Story. And she writes a newsletter about caring for antique and vintage books called The Care and Feeding of Old Books. And through the book, there are these bits of care and feeding that can also double as advice for life.
Right. Oh, I'm totally. Patricia says, "Oh my God, sign me up."
I'm insane. This book is like writing 4 books at once, because it's 2 dual timeline stories woven into one. So it's like 4, and I'm clearly insane. The next book I write is just going to be one straight timeline.
I was going to say, how is your brain? I'm in the middle of writing one right now, and I just had to go back to literally back to the middle. I'm just like,
I did that, so I get that too. But the book's always better for it when you do it.
Oh yeah,
especially at that last minute when you think, oh, what have I done? I just burned the bridge. It just makes you. It forces you to write what should have been there before. And when you're done, you're like, thank goodness I was brave enough to do that.
Right, exactly. You just kind of sometimes feel like maybe the book should have let you know that a little sooner, but it never does. And
that's my constant thing to Tom is, why do I always have to get to this point before I figure it out? If I'm going to get there, can't I get there in the first half of the writing instead of the last month of the writing?
Yeah, exactly. You're 3/4 of the way through and you go,
But sometimes I think we have to get all the way to the end of a book and we know the situation and we know the characters and how it all dovetails. And that's when we see that that thing right there, that does not work.
Right.
And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't just no, it's good enough. You
Nope.
can't. You have
Nope.
to go back because the book deserves it.
Right. And
And
this is
a lot
what
of
makes
work, but it's always the right thing to do.
your books so beautiful and brilliant. I know this, so I need to go back to this. Diane says, "This is back to you getting married. Congrats! I found my beloved when I was 13. We dated on and off through school and almost gave up, but we have been married for 35 years."
Oh, yay!
Congratulations.
Yay.
And we have, let me see. Susan says, "Love the title of the new book." Patricia agrees. So,
Everybody write to my editor and tell her.
um, so Barbara, as it's always awesome to talk to you. I love your belief in the happy endings. I know that you and I share that life philosophy, so that always just makes it extra special to get to spend time together. Where can people find you outside of here? First off, I think you should all be on Barbara's newsletter list because she sends out every month a really lovely, inspiring, heartfelt message about, well, going after your happy ending, really.
Yeah. I spent the first half of my life doing everything for everyone else, and what now it's my turn, and that's just a message that I want to shout from the rooftops, that no matter how old you are or think you are or how far away you are from your goals and your dreams, you can get there.
Yeah.
It's still within reach. So that's why I put that out.
Right.
So yeah,
I love that.
Letter. And then at Barbara Davis Author on Facebook. And then that's my personal page. And then there's also Barbara Davis, Author of Women's Fiction, which is my author page. But my personal page is way more fun. That's where I put the recipes and pictures of food and silly stuff from vacation and stuff. So that's where all the action is. So just go over there and send me a friend request. And unless you're a stalker, I'll click you in.
Right. As long as you look real.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Are you on Instagram also?
I am, but I do so little with it. You know, I just have to pick and choose. So yes, I'm on Instagram, Barbara Davis Author on Instagram. I'm doing a book tour on Instagram because they're making me. I'm just not I'm just not well versed as I should be. One of these days I will embrace that. But right, social media can eat you alive if you don't choose. So
I agree. I'm on Instagram because I visited my agent a couple of years ago and I wasn't, and she made me. She like took my phone.
Yeah.
Made me an account. It's like, you are going to do this. So I've learned.
Yeah. And then the last thing is you can find me and a whole bunch of other wonderful women's fiction writers at Blue Sky Book Chat on Facebook. And we have a ton of fun there. We play games and post, our reviews and all kinds of stuff. And it's open for anybody to post about the books they love and authors they've found. So come join us over there too, because we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You should do that. So you can find Barbara on Facebook. Probably the best place, like she said, is to just friend her on her profile page and get to hang out with her there. So how cool is that? And of course, read the book. So we today are talking about The Keeper of Happy Endings, which is out when? October 1st, correct?
October 1st.
So The Keeper of Happy Endings, coming to you October 1st. You can pre-order it now, and you should do that because then you'll have it in your hot little hands like immediately as soon as it's available to read. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
And for putting up with my technological, I'll do better next time.
You'll be great. We figured it out. It was very awesome. Thank you all for joining us. I am, like I said, I am here again next week with author Willa Reese. You really do want to hear about her book. It is super fun. I absolutely loved it. So please come back and join us. Look for The Keeper of Happy Endings wherever books are sold. Go pre-order it now and go stalk Barbara.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.